The galaxy was vast, filled with countless stars and endless worlds. Yet on one small planet, a desperate message was sent into the void. The planet of R'hllora was burning. Once green, it was now scarred with black fire marks as enemy ships rained. Destruction from above. The R'hllorians had no real army, no powerful fleet, no strength to defend themselves. All they had left was one old transmitter, a signal they could send out into the endless dark, hoping someone would hear it. The Council of R'hllora sat in silence as the transmission was prepared. Their leader, Elder Chiron, placed his shaking hand over the control switch. His voice was tired, yet it carried the weight of his people's survival. "We have no choice," he whispered. "We must send the call. Whoever hears it, may they show mercy." The signal burst from their planet, a cry for help encoded in every language known to the stars. It begged for protection, for salvation. For anyone to come before R'hllora was wiped out. Yet as the message left their world, many of the council feared what might answer. The galaxy was ruled by empires that demanded loyalty, and aid always came with a price. But desperation left no room for choice. Days turned to weeks, and the R'hllorians waited. They watched the skies, praying to see a fleet of allies. First, there was nothing but silence, only the stars looking back at them. Then rumors began to stir. Strange signals had been detected. Something was moving in the deep dark. The council gathered again. "It could be the Empire," one said with dread. "They may have intercepted our call." Another shook his head. "No, this pattern is different. Old, forgotten. Does not match any known power." The word that followed sent chills across the chamber. Human, long ago. The R'hllorians had heard whispers of the human species. To some, they were a nightmare from forgotten wars, a violent race that vanished from galactic politics centuries ago. To others, they were only myths told to frighten children. No one truly knew where they had gone or why the galaxy had stopped. Speaking of them, but now as their sensors lit up, as massive objects began to move closer, the council realized the whispers might be true. Elder Chiron stared at the readings with wide eyes. "We may have begged the wrong species for help," he murmured. Above R'hllora's broken skies, the first dark shapes appeared. At first glance, they looked like shadows against the stars. Angular and sharp, ships unlike anything the R'hllorians had seen before. They moved in silence, no signals sent, no greetings broadcast. Just a silent fleet drifting closer, as though the void itself had given birth to them. Fear spread through the council. "Should have never sent that signal," one cried. "Those are humans. Then we have invited predators into our home," another answered with trembling hope. "But predators are better than death. They fight the Empire, maybe we still survive." On the ground, the people of R'hllora gathered in open fields and city ruins, staring upward at the strange fleet. No banners waved from those ships, no colors of alliance, only black steel, scarred by wars long past, engines glowing with a quiet. Fury dot inside the alien command chamber. Silence hung heavy. Finally, a young officer asked, "Do we make contact with them?" Elder Chiron closed his eyes, his voice low. "If they are truly human, then it is not us who will make contact. It will be them. We will only pray they see us as worth." Saving the air grew heavy as the human ships broke into orbit. Massive cannons lined their hulls, each weapon humming with restrained power. They formed a wall of steel above R'hllora, casting long shadows over the burning land below. Yet not a single word came from them. The R'hllorians waited in terror, their hearts pounding, their fate hanging by a thread. For a moment it felt as if the humans might destroy them just for being weak. The silence was unbearable. And then one ship lit up. Voice crackled across every channel, deep and cold, carrying no warmth of friendship. "This is Commander Vera of the human fleet," the voice said. "Distress signal received. Identify your enemy." The council chamber froze. Not a word about peace, not a word about kindness. Yet the humans had not asked about survivors or losses. Only about the enemy. Elder Chiron stepped forward, his throat dry as he activated the transmitter. "The Zarthon Empire," he answered slowly. "They hunt us. They burn us. We begged for help. Came. No? There was silence again, heavy and suffocating. Then the human voice returned, colder than before. Understood. Hold position. War is coming. The council stared at each other in fear. They had sent a plea for mercy into the stars, and mercy had not answered. Something else had. The people of Relora had asked for help, and the wrong species had heard. Would these humans save them, or destroy everything left? None could tell. But as the Black Fleet shifted into formation, preparing for war, one truth became clear. Galaxy had forgotten the humans. But the humans had not forgotten how to fight, and Relora's skies were about to burn with their return. The Relorians had not slept since the humans arrived. Their skies were filled with the dark outlines of warships. That looked older than any empire, yet more terrifying than anything the galaxy had seen in centuries. The people whispered in fear as they looked up at the steel giants hovering in silence, waiting like predators before the strike. No banners, no colors of peace, only weapons. In the council chamber, the air was heavy with dread. Sat at the center table, his hands trembling as he stared at the reports streaming across the consoles. The human ships had not attacked them, but neither had they spoken further. Only that one cold message, identify your enemy? They did not ask about our survival, one counselor said in a whisper. They did not ask about our losses, our children, our burned cities. All they asked was who we wanted destroyed. Another slammed his hand against the table. And is that not enough? Would you rather the Zarthan Empire crush us completely? If these humans are willing to fight, then let them fight. But others shook their heads. You do not understand, he begged. For aid, and predators answered. They will not fight for us. They will fight for themselves. And when it is over, who will protect us from them? The chamber fell silent at those words. They all knew the legends, even if none had believed them until now. Humanity had been spoken of only in whispers for generations. Some said they were dead, wiped out in wars of their own making. Others claimed they had been banished from the Galactic Council for crimes too terrible to record. Stories painted them as destroyers, a race too violent to live among the stars. And yet here they were, live, powerful, and answering a call that had not been meant for them. On the surface of Relora, the people were no less afraid. In the ruins of the capital city, families huddled together, staring upward at the shadowed ships. Children asked questions their parents could not answer. Are they here to save us? Will they kill us too? None could say for certain. High above, the humans remained silent, moving their ships with cold precision. Scouts patrolled the edge of the system, their engines glowing like fireflies in the dark. They seemed to be watching, studying, preparing.
For what?
No one knew. Then the Empire came. It began as faint signals warp drives igniting in distant space. The Zarthan fleet was on its way, and their numbers were greater than any the Relorians had ever seen. Hundreds of ships, sleek and armed vessels, that had crushed dozens of worlds before Relora. Panic swept through the council. We are finished, one whispered. Even the humans cannot fight such numbers. But Elder Chiron did not speak. His old eyes remained locked on the black shapes, above their world. Somehow he felt the humans had been waiting for this. Not afraid, not uncertain waiting. When the first Empire ships broke into the system, they laughed. Their commanders saw the weak Relorian defenses and the small cluster of unknown ships. They mocked the strange vessels, calling them relics. Of a dead race? Look at them. One Zarthan captain sneered over open combs. Rust and scrap. Whoever they are, they will burn as easily as the rest. The humans did not answer. Their ships remained silent, weapons cold. Engines humming like predators crouched in tall grass. Perhaps they are cowards, another Zarthan voice said. Perhaps they will flee when the true power arrives. But then, at last, a single human transmission cut through the air. The same cold voice from before, Commander Vera, speaking with a tone that made even the council shiver. Target confirmed. Enemy identified. Engagement will commence. And for the first time, the Relorians saw movement. The human fleet shifted, into formation with terrifying precision. Every ship turned in unison, black hulls glinting in the light of Relora's sun. Weapons came alive, glowing red and blue, ancient yet deadly. The Empire laughed louder, certain these relics would be shattered. But the Realorians, watching from their broken cities, felt something the Empire did not. A storm was coming, and it was not for them. The humans had answered the call, not with mercy, not with comfort, but with war. And as the first cannons charged, the people of Relora realized the truth. By sending their desperate signal into the stars, they had awakened something the galaxy had tried to forget. Humanity was not extinct. Humanity was not banished. Humanity had only been waiting, and now war was about to begin. The skies of Relora turned darker as the alien refugees looked upward, waiting for the unknown fleet to act. The human ships did not move like other vessels. They glided with a silence that felt unnatural, as if the void itself obeyed their command. No colors, no banners, no symbols of alliance marked them. Only cold steel, weapons glowing faintly, engines humming like a quiet storm waiting to break. From the ruined cities, crowds gathered in the open fields, their eyes fixed on the sky. Mothers held their children close, whispering words of comfort. They did not believe themselves. The old ones shook their heads, speaking of legends they had hoped would remain myths. Humans, one elder whispered. The old monsters of the stars. In the council chamber, fear and silence hung heavy. Elder Chiron's eyes followed the shapes above. "We asked for help," he said quietly, and help came. But at what cost? The humans gave no answer to the fearful stares from below. They did not broadcast greetings, did not send envoys, did not ask for terms. They only drifted into perfect formations, weapons adjusting like predators sniffing the air before the hunt. The Zarthon Empire's fleet arrived soon after, dropping into the system with arrogance. Their ships were sleek and shining, hundreds strong, armed with energy cannons that had crushed every rival they had faced. Their commanders laughed as their sensors picked up the Relorian distress beacon and the unknown black ships waiting above. "The planet relics," one Zarthon admiral declared, "scrap metal dressed for war." Another voice echoed through open comms. "Whoever they are, they made the mistake of standing in our way. We will burn them as we burned this world." The Relorians trembled, expecting the humans to flee. Yet the Black Fleet did not retreat. The ships shifted, locking into a wall of steel that blocked the Empire's path to the planet. No messages of fear, no pleas for peace, only silent defiance. And then, at last, a human voice broke across every channel, calm, cold. Stripped of emotion, "This is Commander Vera of the human fleet. To the Zarthon Empire, you have been identified as the enemy. Got this system, or be destroyed." The Empire laughed louder at the message. Their admirals mocked. "The humans as ghosts from dead wars, destroyed by you, carry the scent of dust. We are the Empire. We are eternal. You will kneel, or you will burn." But the humans did not answer. Instead, the first of their warships shifted forward. A colossal vessel scarred with old battles, its hull marked with strange symbols no Relorian could read. Its cannons began to glow, lines of fire running along, its body like veins of molten steel. The Relorians watching from the surface felt their breath catch. The Empire still mocked, but the air itself seemed to grow heavier, as if the humans carried with them the memory of wars the galaxy had tried to forget. The first shot came without warning. A single human cannon fired, a beam of white fire that cut through the void and struck an Empire cruiser. The Zarthon ship did not explode immediately. Instead, it cracked, split in two, and then erupted into a ball of flame so bright it lit the skies of Relora. Silence fell across the system. For the first time, Zarthon commanders stopped laughing. Their voices filled the channels, barking, orders shouting in anger. All ships forward, crush them, crush them. Empire fleet surged like a storm, weapons blazing. The skies lit with red and gold as energy fire rained toward the human line. Yet the humans did not scatter. They did not retreat. Their formation held, black steel against the storm, And then, like a predator finally unleashed, they struck. Back, the humans moved with terrifying precision. Their ships turned as one, their weapons firing in brutal harmony. Every blast found its mark. Empire cruisers shattered, destroyers broke apart, their proud shining hulls torn open in seconds. The Relorians gasped in awe and terror as they watched. These were not saviors. These were not protectors. These were warriors, forged in wars far worse than the galaxy remembered. The humans fought not with hesitation, but with cold purpose, every shot a promise of death. From the command chamber, Elder Chiron whispered the words that none wished to hear. We begged the wrong species for help, and yet they may be the only ones who can save us. Above them, the war had begun in full, and the humans were just getting started. The battle in the skies above Relora raged for hours. Empire had come with overwhelming numbers, confident that their fleet could burn any resistance. But for every Empire ship that surged forward, a human warship met it with fire. The humans did not fight like others. They did not waste shots. Every cannon blast struck with purpose. Every missile found its target. From the surface, the Relorians watched in awe and terror. The skies lit with fire, wreckage falling like rain. It was not a battle, it was a slaughter. For the first time in living memory, the Empire was not winning. Inside the Relorian council chamber, the leaders were frozen, their eyes fixed on the burning skies. They are stoppable, one whispered. Another shook his head. No, they are not unstoppable. They are merciless. Do you not see it? They are not fighting to defend us. They are fighting to destroy. Elder Chiron remained silent, his old eyes fixed on the largest of the human vessels. He felt it in his bones. These were not saviors. These were weapons wearing the shape of men. When the last of the Empire's ships fled the system, limping back into the void, silence fell. The human fleet did not pursue. They held their formation, engines glowing faintly, weapons still warm with the blood of war. For long moments, the Relorians waited. Would the humans turn their weapons downward now? Would they burn Relora as they had burned the Empire fleet? Then, without warning, the human flagship broadcast across every channel. The same cold voice returned, Commander Vera, to the people. Of Relora, the voice said, steady and sharp. Your enemy has been driven from your skies. You will explain their reach, their strength, their worlds. We need knowledge. We will have it. The council chamber shook with unease. They had prayed for help, but this felt like interrogation. Elder Chiron slowly stepped forward and answered the transmission. His voice was calm, though fear weighed heavily in his chest. The Zarthon Empire has taken half the galaxy under its claw. They conquer, enslave, destroy. They want us gone because we resisted. For the first time, there was silence on the human channel. Then the commander spoke again, more quietly this time, but no less sharp. And you thought to call? The galaxy for aid? We had no choice, Chiron answered. We sent the signal to anyone who would hear. We did not know. It would be you. The human voice gave no hint of anger nor comfort, only cold finality. You called, we answered. Now war begins, a murmur spread through the council.
Ow.
Of the younger leaders dared to speak into the channel, but why, she asked. Why would humans after so long come back? Why fight for us? There was a pause. Then Commander Vera's answer cut through every doubt. We do not fight for you. We fight the Empire. They are our enemy now. Your survival is incidental. The chamber fell into silence. Incidental. The word stung like fire. The Relorians had begged for help, and they had been saved, but not for their sake. They were alive only because humanity had chosen war. And yet, a strange flicker of hope stirred within them. The Empire had been unstoppable until this day. No power in the galaxy had ever forced them to retreat. No one, except these forgotten humans. The people of Relora filled the streets, staring at the fleet above. Fear and gratitude mixed in there. Hearts tangled and uncertain. Were these humans their saviors or their doom? On the flagship, Commander Vera turned from the comms, giving quiet orders to her crew. Send word to the fleet. We begin preparations for expansion. This war will not end here. The crew obeyed without hesitation. Their eyes were hard, their movements sharp. They had not come to protect. They had come to fight. And far below, Elder Chiron whispered to himself, "We may survive this war, but I fear we have unleashed something far greater." The humans had spoken. First contact had been made. But it was not a meeting of friends. It was a warning. The Empire did not stay silent for long. The defeat at Relora was a wound they could not allow to remain open. Across their territories, Zarthon admirals roared in anger, their pride torn apart by the humiliation of retreat. No one had ever forced them to withdraw. No one had ever shattered their fleets so quickly. To be driven back by a forgotten species, the shame was unbearable. The Empire swore vengeance. They began assembling a force unlike anything seen in centuries. Every ship that could fight was called to gather. Entire shipyards worked without pause, forging more weapons, more armor, more war machines. The Relorian system would not just be punished, it would be annihilated. On Relora, Council watched the dark human ships drifting silently above their world. The people no longer asked if the humans would leave. They understood now. Humans were not rescuers passing through. They had come to stay. Elder Chiron stood at the council window, his old eyes fixed on the flagship. "They are waiting," he said softly. "They know the Empire will return. They are not afraid." One of the younger leaders frowned. "What of us? When this war ends, will they still let us live?" No one answered. In the skies, the human fleet was in motion. Their ships moved with terrifying discipline, drilling in silence, running combat patterns with machine-like precision. They never wasted movement, never drifted without reason. Watching them was like watching predators sharpen their claws before the hunt. Then came the news. The Empire was approaching an armada greater than anything the galaxy had seen in generations. Thousands of ships, covering the void like a swarm of fire. Their arrival was not hidden. They wanted everyone to see, to fear, to understand that. The Zarthon Empire could not be defied. Relora shook with panic. Civilians fled into mountains, into caves, anywhere they could hide from the coming fire. Families whispered prayers. Some even cursed the humans, saying their presence had brought destruction greater than before. But the humans did not waver. When the first signals of the Empire Armada reached the system's edge, the human fleet shifted into formation once more. Black steel against the endless dark, a wall of warships facing down an ocean of fire. The Zarthon Admiral's voice thundered across open channels. "Unknown fleet, you dare interfere in Empire matters. Your defiance ends here, Relora. Will burn, you will be erased. Surrender now or face extinction." The human reply was simple, sharp, and cold. Commander Vera's voice carried no fear, no hesitation. "You had your warning. You chose war. Now you will learn why the galaxy erased our name from its memory." Zarthon laughed, mocking the words. "You are nothing but shadows clinging. To the past, we are the Empire. It will fall as all others have fallen." But deep inside, some of their commanders hesitated. The memory of Relora still burned in their minds. They had seen their proud cruisers torn apart in seconds. They had seen discipline unlike any enemy before. And worst of all, they had seen no fear in human eyes. The Armada surged forward, a storm of ships darkening the system. The humans held their line. Not a single vessel broke formation. Not a single weapon fired early. They waited, patient and cold, like predators letting prey come closer. On the surface, the Relorians held their breath. Children clung to their mothers. Warriors gripped old weapons that would never matter against fleets in the sky. The entire planet waited as two titans faced one another above, and then the void erupted. The Empire fired first, a wall of red and gold energy, flooding space. Entire sections of the void lit up like a burning sun. But when the fire cleared, the human line still stood. Shields shimmered, hulls glowed, but not a single ship had fallen. Then the humans answered. Their fleet split apart with terrifying precision. each section moving like the pieces of a blade cutting through flesh. Weapons roared, cannons blazed, missiles streaked into the void. Empire ships began to fall in waves, their shining hulls shattering under the relentless human assault. The Relorians gasped as the battle unfolded. The Empire had come with overwhelming force, yet the humans cut through them with ruthless efficiency. Every move was calculated, every strike merciless. In the council chamber, Elder Chiron whispered words no one wanted to hear. This is no rescue. This is a war the humans have been waiting to fight, and we are only standing in its shadow. Above them, the Empire's great armada burned, and the humans, cold and relentless, pushed deeper into the storm. The Empire's armada stretched across the stars like a storm without end. Thousands of ships burned their engines bright, hurling fire into the void, certain their sheer numbers would crush the forgotten human fleet. For every Empire vessel that fell, 10 more surged forward. To the Relorians watching from the ground, it looked impossible. How could any force stand against such power? But the humans were not like the others who had fought the Empire. They did not scatter, they did not panic, they did not beg for survival. Their ships moved like pieces of a single machine, each action designed, each strike deliberate. Where the Empire was a raging flood, the humans were a blade, sharp and merciless. From the flagship, Commander Vera watched the storm of red and gold weapons slam into their formation. Shields rippled, hulls groaned, but her voice remained calm. Hold the line, mark targets. Fire in pattern. The order spread instantly. Human cannons ignited, missiles streaked, beams of white fire carved through the void. Empire cruisers burst apart one after another, their wreckage scattering across the stars. Where other species wasted shots in panic, the humans wasted nothing. Every pull of the trigger was death. On the surface of Relora, people huddled together, eyes wide as they watched the heavens burn. Children cried out, pointing at the flashes above. To them it looked as though the sky itself was tearing apart. In the council chamber, fear mixed with awe. They are not fighting like soldiers, one whispered. They're fighting like predators. Elder Chiron nodded slowly, his voice heavy. This is not defense. This is a hunt. Above the hunt. Continued. Human destroyers darted through the chaos, weaving between larger Empire vessels, striking weak points with surgical precision. Their frigates swarmed like wolves, isolating and tearing down enemy ships one by one. And the great human battleships, ancient giants of steel, stood unshaken at the center. Their weapons roaring like thunder. Empire commanders shouted in fury. As their forces crumbled, press forward, overwhelm them. It cannot hold forever. But the longer the battle dragged on, the clearer the truth became. Humans were not holding, they were advancing. For every line the Empire pushed, the humans pushed harder. For every 100 ships, the Empire hurled into the fight. The humans cut them down with brutal efficiency. Panic spread through the Empire fleet, their confidence cracked. The laughter that had filled the coms when they first arrived was gone, replaced with frantic cries for reinforcements, for retreat, for anything to stop the relentless black ships. Then the humans unleashed their full fury. The flagship gave a single order: break the line. The fleet moved as one. Human ships surged forward with terrifying speed, formations shifting, like living beasts. They drove into the heart of the Empire's armada, tearing open its center. Massive cannons roared, ripping apart battleships that had stood unchallenged for centuries. Missiles rained in coordinated waves, each explosion a hammer blow that shook the stars. Relora's skies glowed red as wreckage rained down. Empire vessels screamed through the atmosphere, burning trails across the heavens before crashing into the oceans and mountains. The ground shook with every impact. On the surface, Relorians fell to their knees, unable to look away. They had begged for aid, but what they saw now was not aid. It was destruction so absolute that even their enemies seemed small before it. In the council chamber, the younger leaders trembled. We should have let the Empire kill us, one said in despair. What have we called down upon ourselves? Elder Chiron only closed his eyes. He knew the truth. The Relorians were alive not because the humans had chosen to protect them, but because they had chosen war. And war was all they knew. Above, the Empire's proud armada collapsed. Ships fled into the void, their formations broken, their admirals shouting in fear instead of pride. The humans did not chase them, not yet. They regrouped, cold and calm, as though the slaughter had only been the first step. Commander Vera's voice finally returned to the channels, steady and unshaken. The enemy runs, they will return. We will be ready. Prepare the fleet. The Relorians looked to the skies, their hearts heavy with dread. The Empire had been beaten back, but the humans showed no joy, no triumph, its only purpose. The war had not ended, it had only just begun. The battle had ended, but the silence that followed was heavier than any roar of weapons. The Zarthon Empire's armada had been shattered, their pride broken, their fleet in ruins. Relora was safe for now. The skies were littered with debris, smoke and fire, painting the heavens in grim colors of war. The Relorians watched from their ruined cities, hearts still racing. They should have been celebrating. They had survived against impossible odds. The humans had saved them. Yet, instead of relief, a chilling fear gripped them in the council chamber. Elder Chiron stared at the reports flooding in from orbit. Every Empire ship destroyed, every enemy soldier neutralized, yet not a single human casualty. The calculations did not make sense. How could a fleet so small crush an armada so massive? They are not just warriors, whispered a younger counselor, his voice shaking. They are something else, something the galaxy has been afraid of for centuries. Chiron nodded slowly. I feared this day, he said. We called for help, and something far greater answered. Outside, the humans did not celebrate. Their ships hovered above the planet, engines humming softly, weapons still glowing faintly. Wounded. They had fought. They had destroyed. That was all. A message came from Commander Vera, her voice calm, almost indifferent. The enemy is routed. Relora survives. You'll provide intelligence on all remaining Zarthon positions. We will strike again. This war is far from over. The council looked at each other, fear spreading like wildfire. They had thought humanity would act like other galactic powers, negotiate, protect, maybe offer mercy. But these humans had a purpose entirely their own. Mercy was incidental. Destruction was intentional. One elder spoke, trembling. We asked for help, and they answered. But for them, we were not the reason. We were collateral, or perhaps witnesses. Is that what we've brought upon ourselves? The younger leaders nodded grimly. They understood now. The humans did not fight for honor, for glory, or for justice. They fought because they were made to fight. They were hunters, predators, a species whose rage and skill had been forgotten only by history. And the worst part, the humans were not satisfied with one victory. The fleet remained poised, silent, waiting. The galaxy had assumed humanity was gone, weak, irrelevant. The Relorians had assumed the same. Both had been wrong. Commander Vera's voice returned, sharper this time. We will not stop at the borders of your world. We're not here to negotiate peace. Prepare your systems and inform your allies. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not retreat. The council fell into stunned silence. The words echoed in their minds. Survival had a new cost. By calling humans. They had gained protection. But at what price? How long before their protectors became something to fear? Outside, the people of Relora looked to the black fleet above, fear and awe tangled in their hearts. They had lived through the impossible, witnessed the unstoppable, and now they understood the terrifying truth. Humanity was not a savior. Humanity was a force, a predator awakened after centuries of silence, and the galaxy had no idea how dangerous. It truly was. Elder Chiron whispered to himself, almost too softly to be heard. We begged for help, and we called down the monsters of legend. May the stars forgive us for what comes next. Above, the black ships of humanity gleamed in the light of Relora's sun. Silent, watchful, terrifying, and far below, the people of the planet realized that their fate had changed forever, not by the empire they feared, but by the species they had begged to save them. The galaxy would soon learn the same lesson. The stars over Relora had never been so still. The battle was over, yet silence carried, a weight heavier than any roar of weapons. The Zarthan Empire was in retreat, its pride shattered, its fleet in ruin. The planet below had survived, but the humans above had not moved on. The Relorians looked up at the black ships hovering silently. Engines glowed faintly, weapons still charged, as if waiting for some unseen signal. The people whispered to each other, hearts pounding with awe and fear. They had begged for help, and help had come. The help they received was not mercy. It was power, cold, absolute, and terrifying. In the council chamber, Elder Chiron stared at the reports streaming. In every Zarthon ship destroyed, every admiral dead or fleeing, yet not a single human vessel had suffered damage. The calculations made no sense. They had been saved by a force that seemed unstoppable, a force that had returned from legend, from the stories no one had dared to believe. "They are not like anyone we know," said a young counselor. "They fight like gods of war." Elder Chiron nodded slowly. "We asked for help, and something far greater answered. We have survived, but at what cost?" Commander Vera's voice cut across all channels.com, precise, chilling. "The enemy has been routed. Your world survives. We will remain until the Zarthon threat is neutralized completely. Humanity does not leave unfinished business." The council shuddered. They had imagined help would be fleeting, perhaps temporary. They had not imagined a species that fought not for reward, not for honor, but simply because they were built for war. Humanity had no negotiations. Humanity had no mercy. Humanity had only purpose. On the surface, the citizens of Relora looked to the fleet above. Children clung to parents, warriors stared into the sky, hearts beating in sync with the hum of human engines. Some cried in relief. Some prayed for mercy. Some simply stared, knowing instinctively that their lives had changed forever. The humans remained silent, their ships poised like black mountains in the sky. They did not speak of friendship or gratitude or peace. They waited. Their engines pulsed faintly, weapons ready, eyes unseen but felt by all below. Elder Chiron finally spoke, his voice barely audible. "We begged for help, and we called down a force the galaxy had forgotten. We have survived, yes, but we have also awakened a predator, and the stars. The stars themselves will never be safe again." Young counselors nodded, understanding the weight of the words. Humanity had arrived, not as saviors, not as allies. They had arrived as hunters, as legends reborn, as a force that would change the galaxy forever. Commander Vera's voice returned one last time, cold and certain. "This war is only beginning. Inform your neighbors, spread the word. Humanity has returned, and we will see it done." The fleet shifted slightly, engines glowing brighter, weapons aligning, a silent promise of what was to come. Below, the Relorians realized that their future was no longer in their hands. Survival had been granted by a force they could not control, and far above in the void of space, humanity waited. The galaxy would soon learn the same lesson the Relorians now understood. Never underestimate what sleeps in the dark. Never call for help without knowing who listens. Never ever forget the humans. The stars burned quietly, holding their breath, as the fleet of humanity prepared to reshape everything in its path.